Okay, we'd now like to turn some time over to some of the mayors and other leaders in the community for discussion on the proposed local option sales tax. So Mayor Pike and those that are involved with him, if you'd come on up.
Mayor, why don't you come forward, and that way we can be quick as we move from one to the next. Commissioners, thank you very much for having us here and allowing us to come and spend just a few minutes. I'm Mayor Pike, John Pike from St. George, and Mayor Chris Hart from Ivins, of course, Ken Nielsen, Washington City. And let's see, I don't see Mayor John Bramall. He was hoping to be here, but may have gotten delayed at a meeting. We also have Mayor of Leeds here, and we have any other mayors here that I'm missing? And we have several from the city. We also have from various cities and the MPO, the Metropolitan Planning Organization. We also have several people representing the Chamber of Commerce. And so just briefly, we're here today because state legislators passed House Bill 362 back in 2015 in the legislative session. It was called the Transportation Infrastructure Funding Bill. It was a result of significant negotiations, as you know, between the cities, the counties, the transit, and state policymakers. It was the first ever comprehensive transportation bill in the state of Utah. It provides for all modes of travel at state and local levels. We supported this bill because it will help us meet critical, unfunded currently transportation needs in our communities. House Bill 362 intended to provide financial tools to invest in comprehensive transportation options at the local level. We're here to specifically discuss the quarter cent, which is 1 penny per $4, local option sales tax dedicated to transportation and transit for cities, towns, and counties. If voters here in Washington County approve the quarter cent tax, the bill would allocate 40% of funds to the cities and towns and 60% to Washington County, with specific provisions in St. George, Ivins, or other communities that are part of Suntran that would take some of that 60%, as you know, that would be for counties. So it's a significant funding source. Ultimately, the legislature determined that voters must have the final say on this local option. It's up to the county to decide to put this local option on the ballot. We stand together today representing communities across this great county to demonstrate our collective support and to urge your support for this local option to empower voters. I think this is one of the most democratic things we could do, is to empower the voters this November to choose for themselves whether to invest in transportation in their local communities or not. So having stated those general things, I'd like to turn time over first to Mayor Hart, and then Mayor Nielsen, and then Ken Sizemore from Santa Clara City, and then Greg MacArthur and Terry Draper representing the Chamber Community Action Committee today. And then we'll try to be quick. So, Mayor Hart.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Thank you for allowing us to be here. I want to thank you for responding to the petition from ours and other cities requesting that you have the meeting you're having today where you consider formally placing this issue on the ballot. Washington County is, by one assessment, the 5th fastest growing county in the United States. In addition to that, we enjoy a significant increase in tourism and visitor traffic each year. This year, the visitation to the park, they say, is up about 17%. So between those two things, the impact on our roads in terms of miles traveled and thus need for repair and maintenance is increasing. In addition to that, other modes of transportation are becoming more and more in demand, that being trail systems for bicycling and walking and other modes of transportation. And so cities and the county are facing a crunch without knowing it, residents have enjoyed a tax reduction in terms of transportation funding over the last 20 years. Each time we buy a car that's more fuel efficient, the number of dollars that we pay in fuel tax that turn around and come back to the cities in the form of BNC road funds diminishes. Those who buy an alternative fuel vehicle have that tax completely taken away. So cities are finding themselves in a crunch. More and more travel miles on the roads, increasing costs of maintenance, and a reduction over time in available funding. So what happens in response is cities take more and more, are forced to take more and more out of their general funds and devote them to transportation, thus taking funds away from other services that we provide. So our belief is that in the dynamic in this county is such that this local option sales tax allows this revenue to come back to the cities and counties, not just on the backs of our residents, like is happening out of our general funds, but the estimates are that over 40% of that is being paid for by those who come to visit, tourists and other visitors to the county. So for those reasons, we believe that this is something that will help avoid a transportation funding crisis over time, and we thank you for considering putting it on the ballot.
We got the memo about the blue shirts. We just wanted to know that.
What's wrong, Victor?
Zach? Commissioners, thank you for allowing us the time. I'm not going to delve into the other, you know exactly what we're facing and the challenges that we have. And Washington City, I know you know this, but we are the fastest growing, one of the fastest growing in the county. And that presents a wonderful challenge for us and to us, and that is, how do we keep our roads maintained? How do we provide the needs for active transportation? And you know, we desire to have mass transit come into Washington. I think it would be good not only for our city, but for the county as in general. So we wholeheartedly support having this opportunity put on the ballot and let our citizens determine yay or nay on this local transportation tax. So thank you very much for allowing us to take time.
No, I didn't get the memo about that.
Close enough.
I guess I'm not in the mayor's email chain. As many of you know, I sit on the Joint Policy Advisory Committee at the state level that determines policy for transportation, and I'm that representative as an elected official from here in Washington County. And in my former role at the Five County Association of Governments, I was very involved in the planning and development of our processes to determine how we're going to fund our transportation needs into the future. And it's evident, and the planning that's been done recognizes this dramatic need. The state legislature has recognized that need and provided this opportunity to put this issue on the ballot and let local citizens decide if they want to provide this method to help increase the resources available to meet our transportation needs. In Santa Clara City, about 40% of our transportation needs have to be funded through general fund revenues because we just don't have the financial resources available from these other methods. The need is there, and the time is now. It is a fact that we'll probably have more of the citizens of Washington County turn out for this coming election than we will in other future elections. So if we really do truly want the citizens of Washington County to decide this issue, this election, this ballot is the time to put it before the citizens. We appreciate the opportunity for you to listen to us and recognize that you recognize as local officials dealing with your transportation needs in the unincorporated area. We all are facing those dramatic needs, and as the population base increases, that demand will just continue to increase. The plans that we've developed have included this kind of an effort in our fiscal constraints. If this doesn't pass, we're going to have to come up with some other method to fill that need, whether it's property tax increases or other methods to fund our transportation needs. And again, thank you very much for the opportunity to present this issue to you, and just encourage you to get this on the ballot to let the citizens decide. Thanks.
Chamber? Just one thing to highlight, want to make sure that everyone's aware. Again, this is a 0.25% sales tax option that we would be voting on, and that is not assessed on food unless you're at a restaurant. But if you're buying food at grocery stores, it's not on that, it's on other purchases. It wouldn't go on like your mortgage or other things like that, but for purchases. And so that helps those who probably, need the help the most by not having to pay for the food, pay an increased tax on their food. Okay, Chamber.
Hi, I'm Terry Draper. I'm the chairman of the Chamber's Community Action Committee. And we hosted a presentation by Cameron Cutler, and the mayor was there, and Mark Mortensen and Myron Lee, and they gave us a really factual breakdown of the fact that we're already behind on transportation costs in our county, which transportation and roads definitely affect the business community, especially the major arteries that were mentioned in that presentation. And we appreciate your willingness to consider opening this up so the owners of businesses and the people who utilize the businesses can weigh in with their vote this fall as we consider whether or not we should add this very minor tax to the ballot. Some of us may very well vote against it. We just appreciate the opportunity for you to consider and have it placed on the ballot.
Just to add to that, so from the meeting, the Community Action Committee that we had, everyone in that room with the business owners here in Southern Utah, we did find compelling evidence that, well, not evidence, but just reason, when you look at the transportation, that we should look at the opportunity to let the voters, we think it's a good thing to put it on the ballot because it will give the chance for the voters to see all the information and make the decision for themselves. It'll get the information out there, and we think that's good.
So thank you for considering.
Great, thanks.
Thank you.
I'm going to take the liberty to call Dave if you would like to come address anything here. You've got a lot of experience as a former speaker and been around this issue for a long time.
I didn't get the memo about the tie or the shirt. And I'm really glad I didn't. Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity. She mentioned some experience maybe sitting in those chairs of judgment, and it's not easy. I appreciate what you do in deliverance of time and what that takes away from other areas of family and life. Appreciate your service. I was driving down here today, kind of contemplating what to say, and I was just kind of wondering, I got thinking about last few days I've been up north with some family health related issues, and I was just beginning to think about family and issues and how good this county and communities have been to myself and my family. If there's an opportunity, I think, to plan and to make it better for that next generation, how wise are we to try and take advantage of that? If I began thinking about, from my political experiences, maybe about the founding fathers, I think they'd be struggling a little bit to look at our national level, particularly looking at the federalism part. I don't think we're quite there of what that vision was. But if you look at an opportunity for an issue to take planning, and if people are willing to put their resources towards that in a democratic process, I think this format they would be smiling upon. And I'd ask you to give that some consideration. I will tell you right now, I fully intend, if it is put on the ballot, to support it. I think it is important. I learned from the state issue about the denigration of roads. And it's not just kind of a gradual fall off. It goes like this, and then it becomes a deep cliff. And the issues that we're contemplating here and trying to solve in this county are exactly what we did in 2005, 6, 7, and 8 on behalf of the state. And what we found is that we were better off investing into those resources whether it be I-15 in Utah County, which most folks would wonder why would Washington County be interested in that? Well, there's a darn good chance that everything that's delivered here either is passing through Washington County, dropping off and using that road because of that road, or coming the other way. We all become interconnected. And I just want to compliment the mayors. I think the cooperative nature of this process on behalf of all of the county, more efficient, better utilization, stronger planning, and I think the outcomes would all be more favorable. So I appreciate your, as you contemplate this, hopefully give it a favorable vote. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate your service as speaker. This is something that's been a discussion on the county level for a number of years, and something we've been working through, as was mentioned, with the cities, with the legislature, and it has taken several years to come to this agreement and getting this bill passed. So, and has been mentioned, a lot of the cities are having to take things out of their general fund. Ken referred to the, property tax. That's what the major part of the general fund is property tax, another sales tax. So if they have to supplement it by raising your property tax, we're a lot better putting it on the 1/4 cent sales tax and letting what they estimate 30 to 40% of that would be paid by visitors to the county. So, that I think that's something really strongly in favor of it. I know the county is way behind on chip sealing and other maintenance things we need to do on our roads, just with budget issues, and it's a whole lot cheaper to keep those roads in good repair than it is to go in and have to rebuild them. So I would hope that we'd consider some of that as this discussion gets out into the public.
Is there anybody else in the audience?
Is there anybody that has another comment that would?
Colin,
Apparently.
over here.
Oh, I couldn't see your hand, sorry. Yes.
My name is Lisa Rutherford. I'm an Ivans resident, and I appreciate you letting me make some comments on this. I appreciate the comments that were made by the mayors and others. There are a lot of positive comments being made today. I would just like to say that the tax itself is perhaps not as much a problem for me as the way we've come to have this tax. In 2015, the gasoline tax was raised, arguing that our tax had not been raised in 20 years, I think it was, but the information was left off to the public as far as our tax was already higher than many of the other states around us. At that time, this 0.25% local option was also offered. I understand that we have more fuel-efficient vehicles, and that's a good thing. And that there's less money coming in now, but I'm not sure it's a reason for taxing people more. Then in 2016, of course, people have a short memory, right? So we wait until 2016 in the next legislature, and then we run bills to move money from transportation to water. And some of the things in the water bill, for some of us, are very questionable, but now we have moved transportation money into water. And now we are coming back and asking the public to make this small little donation to take up some of that slack. I'm a big supporter of public transportation. I'm a big supporter of the idea that at some point we're going to have a public transportation route taking us from St. George to Springdale and Zion Park. St. George has made a lot of money on Zion Park. And we need to cooperate and have that happen. When I look at HB 362 and I look at the items that this money would be spent on, there have been some comments today about public transportation, the great need for public transportation. But I see public transportation pretty far down on the list. Just like the water bill, where they argue that the money's going to go for infrastructure, but infrastructure comes further down the list than the two major the pipeline project and the Bear River project. So I just get concerned about some of this prioritizing. People aren't reading the bill, they're only getting what they're told in the paper and in meetings like this. And so I understand you have a difficult decision ahead of you, but I have a little problem with the shell game that gets played and then come back and ask people for more money. So anyway, thank you for listening to my concerns.
So you
Thank
don't,
you.
just, can I ask a follow-up question? Are you against the voters having the opportunity to vote against this, or are you against the process?
I'm against the process, and I don't know whether I'm in favor of having the voters have a vote on it. And the reason is because I don't think the voters understand how we came to this point in the process. And that's my problem with it.
So one quick follow-up question. You just said you're in favor of the transportation, the bus service up to Springdale. And I think the estimates on that was about $1 million. So how would you propose to pay for that? Like, what's your thoughts on that?
Well, that's what we don't know. I mean, when I read the 2015 to 2040 transportation report, looked to me in the draft report and the final report that there are options out there that perhaps aren't being fully considered. I mean, I read one place in there where it says that there is a fund that's being held back for the airport that could possibly be used for public transportation. I appreciate all the active transportation efforts that are being made in this county to put bicycle lanes everywhere. I know that that's important because we like this. It's good to have active transportation, but I just get the feeling sometimes that the public piece of it is getting a little bit of short shrift.
As I understand the bill, I don't know, we referred to as priority and having public transportation at the bottom of the list. As I recall, there's a specific percentage that goes towards that. Isn't that right, Mayor?
That's correct. And
There is.
And there's no choice. Those funds must be spent on transit.
So it goes directly for transit. And as far as the money that was taken from water and put on transportation, this was merely money that was originally taken from transportation and put on water for a little while. So they merely put that back onto water.
I realize that, and I understand that that's how the process worked. What I'm saying is I'm not comfortable with the projects that they have in the bill and the way they're prioritized there that would be using the money. And so I understand that there is allocation of part of this money, a percentage of it, to public transportation. I would hope that it actually makes it there and it does what it's supposed to do as far as expanding the public transportation that we so desperately need. But my point is,
if the bill's passed, it will make it there because it's outlined. And it was a pretty significant percentage, I thought.
Yeah, it's basically of the 0.25, 0.10 would be on transit. 0.10 would go to the cities for transportation, which could include trails, upkeep, expansion, and then the 0.10 is for transit. 0.05 goes to the counties. For those areas that don't have transit, then the 0.15 goes to counties. So St. George would be getting 0.20 of that.
A good chunk would go to transit.
So would Ivans.
so I guess getting back to my main point, I'm not totally against the local option per se. I am more troubled by the way we got here.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.